Oh, yeah. Really, one of the most important things that's going to happen to a lot of people is when they get to eat shit about January 6th. Because, remember, Donald Trump he has access to a lot of information that's classified. Like, every day, he still gets reports about things. There's a lot of stuff that he has indicated he knows. One of the things was actually, remember, sources for the left, people on the left and people who are left of center, they don't like sources that make them look stupid. Like Destiny really hates, yeah, yes, Dutch Bros, American flag, big truck. I love that. And so one of the things that actually I was just thinking about was because there's this thing of that people from the January 6th committee think that they're going to possibly face charges, this and that. They are. They actually are going to be facing charges because they unfortunately technically lied to Congress. Even though they're congressional members, there's things that they engaged in that committee that was lying to Congress on its technical basis. There's also then other things that they've done that it's like, no, with you having this knowledge, then acting the way that you did in this committee, you actually have committed sedition. So they're right. They're going to be facing charges, especially if the DOJ is run by anybody worth anything. Now, that's the thing, is that a bunch of Republicans will ruin getting somebody who should be running the DOJ. The Republicans will try to mess this up. The Republicans need to face an unbelievably angry supporters. That's the only way this is going to work. Is that almost immediately the voters and supporters themselves start positing what names and what people should take over the Department of Justice once after the election. The Republicans, it's not so much even need to get ahead on this. It's just simply no. What it is that you need to that you guys just need to start making it very clear. There's not going to be a Bill Barr. There's not going to be any of these old trusted conservatives. Oh, he was there with Reagan. Like that was one of those obvious ones. I loved how this idea of like, oh, he's a rock-ribbed Republican who was there with Reagan. And I'm just like, please stop it. He was there when Reagan and Bush and when the CIA took over the presidency. And the CIA agent kept all kinds of stuff from actually happening. And then on top of it, this former head of the CIA made sure that he worked with all the people around Reagan to get things set up for what he wanted for the next generation, culminating in people like Barack Obama being elected and Joe Biden being elected. And people who can't handle that, it's okay you can't. It's okay. There's some of us have to be the grown-ups and have to face the ugly reality of it all. But, the January 6th thing is going to go down in flames. A lot of people who, they don't like they're not Democrats, but they're like, oh, these guys, they need to go to jail. We're going to find out. Oh, yeah, the exculpatory evidence was kept out of a lot of their trials. There's a lot of stuff that even from the very beginning really wasn't done right in their cases. How there's like kind of this world of lawyers now that are sort of like the types of lawyers, they're bitchy lawyers. That they really do believe the law is just this thing that you use to beat people up with who you don't like when you can do it. Because a lot of lawyers they're just bad people. More and more we're kind of getting this idea that sort of this it just attracts a lot of scumbags, and so. And, these people who they're like, these people who did this and stormed the Capitol and blah, blah, blah. And then you see that, they didn't really do anything. No, the left is still trying to say that a police officer died. They still say that. That's, a flat out lie. This is going to completely... this is one of these that it has to happen. There has to actually be a reopening of all that, and Trump does need to insist on no. He's going to pardon these fucking people, and then he's going to investigate the whole shebang. That has to happen. He has to do that. There's no way around it. He has to, and he has to because that otherwise the government will be able to at any point do this again, and people have to be able to look through the pattern of criminality that happened where the CIA, FBI, and a bunch of profiteers, and then even a bunch of scumbags in the Republican Party all helped with this because they had fundamentally problems with Donald Trump disassembling the federal state, because that's the big thing, is that there's a lot of people that their entire they can't eat without the federal state being there. That's fundamentally their job is interacting with the federal government or something. It's or they're counting on the day that they get that sweet position in some federal office or something like that. And while everybody else, loses their manufacturing jobs, everybody else gets to lose their normal jobs, but these guys get to manipulate the system so that they could keep a job pushing papers around, throwing people in jail for stuff that they didn't do, and or ginning up riots. Ginning up sedition against a president, things like that. So, and then there's a kind of a larger issue that I found applies to this, and it was something that got brought up by the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, and Aidan Paladin was on there, and this has come up with the Jolly Heretic as well. There's something very wrong with the left. Before, you had people who were rebelling against the kind of the very disciplined life of the early baby boomer, or the kids of the early baby boomer kids. Like my teacher told me about when he finally got a pair of jeans. And I'm like, what? And he goes, we weren't allowed to wear jeans in my household growing up. And I just couldn't conceive of this. I was like, what are you talking about? You couldn't wear jeans. Well, at his time, during the 50s, jeans would have been what you wear for work clothes. They would have been dungarees, the denim, jeans were not like a fashion statement in the because that's 1968, 67, where you get Levi's button-fly jeans as a fashion statement. That's mostly a thing that comes out of Britain with the early skinhead movement, where you have Dr. Martens and Levi's jeans and reggae music that made East London change forever. That's where we get that's where we get Sting from, and the Police. That's where we get the Specials. All these things that result from that. That at first you have the Spirit of '69 in East London, where the idea of the blue jeans becomes like the thing, the look. In America, this wasn't necessarily as normal. You'll see like musicians will have like blue jeans, but like what my teacher described as, no, you weren't allowed to wear blue jeans unless you were a worker and they were your work clothes. That like the idea of being festooned in denim just simply wasn't, it wasn't that cool. Like now we had a different view of it in the 90s. And so that very disciplined life, like one of the things that he described to me, he goes, you had dinner clothing you had to put on in the 50s. Dinner clothing, a special outfit for dinner time, as opposed to what you were wearing earlier in the day. And so the baby boomers had a certain kind of level of discipline that there was nothing, it wasn't even supposed to be mean. One of the parents of baby boomers from the silent generation was talking about what it was like during the Depression and why during the baby boom, during the 50s, they were the way they were. He goes, I ate so much garbage. And he meant garbage. Like he meant like that's what happened. During the Great Depression, he eventually had to leave home because his family just couldn't feed him. And that was not abnormal. So your family kicks you out, tells you, or you leave because there's no food, there's no hope, there's no work. You bounce around from here to there. Trailers for sale or rent. What was it? Yeah, trailers for sale or rent. Room about 50 cents. Okay, that entire concept, that was a leftover from the Depression. And so as these guys then, after the war, start getting start getting some success, they get success that they've never imagined. They've never seen success like this. Nobody. And sometimes, for a lot of these people, nobody in the history of their family had ever had what they had. And all they knew, and it was really great the way this guy expressed it, he said, after the Depression, all I knew is I succeeded as long as I kept going to work. That was it. The rest, he goes, that's all I knew. My kids were never going to eat garbage. And all I had to do was keep showing up to work. And everything got better. And, but the baby boomers, that was a tough thing to deal with. That was a disciplined life. That their father had to be at work every day. You couldn't mess up the family. You couldn't mess things up because dad had to go to fucking work. Yeah. And so it's, a lot of people, we just have no way of really putting this into context unless we hear it from them. And that's the beauty of like some of what YouTube has done. YouTube's given us this beautiful realm that multiple generations can communicate with to one another what the experience really has been. It's actually really sad that the liberals, the progs, the commies, they keep trying to ruin YouTube as an archive for historical information. Such as like somebody like Alexander Dugin. You were to look him up, you won't find like why was Alexander Dugin this person who was so feared by the American left, by the American Republicans. Why? What was he saying? Like what? I mean, this guy must have been saying such wild and crazy things. And then when you find out, like, no, he actually was just very good at explaining the Orthodox Eastern world point of view on things. That, yeah, there's just nothing like that. I mean, like that's like such a major loss. And then like some of these things that without knowing that, many of the events of the Middle East can't be put together correctly, such as the Knights of Malta no longer being the charitable military order, the primary charitable military order doing charitable military work in the Middle East, in the Holy Land. The fact that that was taken over by the Orthodox Order of St. Lazarus, and that Russia told us this. Alexander Dugin told us this. He told us this in a propaganda piece on his channel. And that, so it really is this issue of like, we had this incredible piece of historical information about this changeover in the Middle East. YouTube yeets it because it's Russian. And I mean, what a loss. What an incredible loss. And then on top of it, it shows that the left has this distinct problem with history itself. That they really cannot handle history. That history upsets them when it doesn't. And so this is the thing that the podcast The Lotus Eaters got into. When facts upset the left, it's no longer a fact. This is one of Destiny's biggest problems when he debates people. Same with Hassan. Everything is some kind of capitalist Zionist talking point. Everything is just some unfounded idea of the right, when it's actually usually accurate, usually from a better source. And really, and when one were to think of this, that you dismiss the credibility out of hand, yet you can't buttress what you say a phenomena is with, say, the way that phenomena affects the world. Well, yeah, that's the problem. Leftists don't have shit on the right because they will not read what the right writes. They won't watch what the right posts because they're bigots who take themselves too serious. Take themselves too serious. And now this is backfired on them. Brilliantly. It's backfired on them brilliantly. Why do you think people started beating up all these encampments? Because BLM and Antifa showed everybody that this is about force. All you've got to do is use it effectively and you win. Now these people are crying. Keep crying. No, there was never going to be a debate with you. We knew there wasn't going to be a debate with you. You never debate. You can't debate people who think that who they're dealing with is intrinsically evil and always incorrect. And so now the left are the actual literal ignorant bigots because they don't know things and will not listen to other people. So that's it. There's no going back anymore. Now it's just a matter of the election cycles. Peace.